what this abstract has shown, what this research has shown, is that markers associated with increasing the risk of heart attack and probably even progression of underlying heart disease in people who've already got some heart disease has been significantly increased risk from 11% at 5 years, risk of heart attack, to 25%. Now, that's a huge increase. If this is true, then it's very concerning indeed. But in medicine, in good science, we never rely on one study. We need to replicate these findings. However, what I will share with you today on GB News is a few days ago, after this was published, somebody from a very prestigious British institution, cardiology department, researcher, a whistleblower, if you like, contacted me to say that the researchers in this department had found something similar within the coronary arteries linked to the vaccine, inflammation from imaging studies around the coronary arteries. And they had a meeting, and these researchers at the moment have decided they're not going to publish their findings because they are concerned about losing research money from the drug industry. Now, this person was very upset about it, and I wanted to obviously share this on GB News today. What I would say is that we then, knowing this information, which is very concerning, Stephen Gundry's paper in circulation, and also anecdotal evidence. I mean, I have a lot of interaction with the cardiology community across the UK, and anecdotally, I've been getting told by colleagues that they are seeing younger and younger people coming in with heart attacks. Now, what does this mean in terms of the data? We have to put the jigsaw for the pieces together. We know since July there's been almost 10,000 excess non-COVID deaths.
That's why I made my first movie, Serial Killers, and this was a man who, an elite athlete, he'd never really gained much weight. He'd sailed through what I believe you call stress tests, and boom, heart attack.
Actually, that's quite typical of what happens. We know about 50% of people who suffer heart attacks have no preceding warning or symptoms of what we call angina, which is a symptom of chest discomfort that people experience normally when they do exercise or stress and is relieved by rest. That usually happens when the artery is at least 70% narrowed physiologically. But what people don't realize is that most people who suffer what we call cardiac events often don't have significant narrowings up to 70%. They may be 30 or 40% or even 20% narrowed, in which case they're not going to get symptoms. But what happens is those underlying narrowings that may be minor suddenly block off with a clot because of inflammatory processes related to many things such as smoking, diet, stress. All these things come together almost like an explosion. You described it like an earthquake. It's absolutely right. There are 3 misconceptions about heart disease we have to deal with. The first misconception is that dietary fat causes narrowing or blockage of the artery. Dietary fat doesn't cause the narrowing. Inflammation does. The second misconception is that the arterial narrowing itself is a problem. Well, in fact, the narrowing isn't what kills people. It's a sudden occlusion of that artery, the sudden blockage, because of this angry deposit of cholesterol and inflammatory cells that suddenly get exposed to the blood, causing a clot to form. The third misconception is that the reversal of the process that leads to heart attacks will take a long time. And that's incorrect. In fact, this can happen very rapidly. As you can see here, these are jagged edges on the inside of the artery, like an inflamed or angry narrowing. And what we need to do is we need to passivate, diffuse that anger. And you can diffuse it with dietary changes, smoking cessation, stress reduction, and doing the right type